Today we're checking out some more Star Trek The Next Generation Season 4.
For some weeks, we have had a Klingon exobiologist on board as part of a scientific exchange program. We suspect that he was involved in a security breach and in the possible sabotage of our warp drive.
Oh.
I know nothing about it.
I suppose you know nothing about the explosion that disabled the warp drive approximately the same time.
No, I was not involved. You accuse me because I am Klingon.
J'accuse.
You'll be returned home as soon as we finish our investigation.
Is he going to be
I have
helping the
nothing
break?
more to say.
Very well. Worf, accompany the lieutenant to his quarters.
Oh, they're going to have words. How could you work for these humans?
On a Klingon home world, your name is not mentioned. It is as though you never existed.
Ah, shut it.
Terrible burden for a warrior to bear.
Poor
To become
Worf.
nothing. To be without honor.
He's poking his wound. Don't listen to him, man. He's just trying to get in your head.
Powerful friends on the home world. I could talk to them. They might help to restore your name.
I don't think
It
Worf
could be
will
done
do
without anyone knowing about it.
it. Yeah. Oh, the huh. But will he sort of consider it? Because I know, like, it is very important to Worf, like, his reputation as a Klingon. That would be the only thing that would appeal to him, was maybe we can change your status. But I don't think he would ever, like, betray his crew.
To seek out new life and new civilizations.
Too boldly go where no one has gone before. Let's do it.
Commander Riker, will you see to the Admiral's staff?
First, I'd like to inspect the damage to your engine room.
Yeah. Let's go see the warp drive.
We still can't get in there, Captain. The radiation levels are dropping, but they're still too high to raise the isolation door.
How much longer will it be?
At the rate the levels are decreasing, we will...
Directed by Riker.
Maybe the Admiral would like to see the visual log of the explosion.
Yes, I would like to see that as well. I'm very curious if this Klingon on board is the culprit.
At that point, the emergency confinement field was activated and the isolation doors came down.
Slow motion study of the explosion suggests that the articulation frame collapsed.
The articulation frame.
Other evidence lends credence to that theory, Captain.
Which is?
A review of the sensor logs indicates that every system's reading was well within normal parameters until 52 milliseconds before the explosion.
Someone just pressed a button.
Commander Data, LaForge, I don't envy you your job. Good luck.
They'll crack it. They always do.
Excuse me, Captain. I did not know that...
Oh, please, Mr. Worf, come in. Particularly want my guest to meet you, Admiral Sati. This is my head of security, Lieutenant Worf.
The coolest Klingon ever.
Encoded in the form of amino acid sequences and transfer those sequences into a fluid in the syringe. Then he injects someone.
The body itself becomes a conveyor of top-secret files.
Without someone's knowledge, too, it could be. Although now I'm thinking, like she said, maybe they do know.
A hyposyringe was discovered in your quarters.
Checkmate.
Take injections.
Has but one function: transform computer information into biological sequences.
So cool.
Since the Federation Alliance, we have turned into a nation of mewling babies. Romulans are strong. They are worthy allies. They do not turn Klingons into weaklings like you.
Are they going to become enemies?
You mean it was sheer coincidence that it was sabotaged after you gave the plans for the design to the Romulans?
I do not know. I had nothing to do with it.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I believe he's telling the truth. He admits stealing the files, but not sabotaging the dilithium chamber. I get
Yeah.
no sense that he's lying.
He admitted one.
I think, Captain, you have a bigger problem on your ship than just one Klingon exchange officer.
Dun, dun, dun. He looked right in the camera. I like it. I hope it wasn't Worf without his knowledge. That would be really bad.
If anyone in Starfleet can help us, it's you.
Captain, I find myself changing my mind about you.
In what way?
How so?
I always preferred working alone. That way, if something went wrong, I didn't have to go far for the cause. I resented you being assigned to me. But I was wrong. We're going to be quite a team.
I like her. It takes a good person to admit that they're wrong.
There are some who believe he betrayed your people to the Romulans.
What he did or did not do is no one's concern but my own.
I only meant before I saw you in action, I naturally considered you to be a possible security risk.
But now he doesn't.
But I want you to know you have the Admiral's and my complete confidence.
Amazing. Okay, good.
You know the ship, you know the personnel, you know exactly what we're up against.
I'm worried that he's being used as a
We're counting
pawn.
on you, Lieutenant.
I will arrange for
Without
the
his
interviews to
knowledge.
begin.
They said that. They said it could be someone involved without themselves even knowing. I'm worried it's Worf.
Simon Tarsis, crewman first class, medical technician.
Now, I assure you, Mr. Tarsis, this is an informal inquiry. We are not accusing you of anything.
He looks nervous.
Your records state that you were born on Mars colony. Then you are human?
Largely. My paternal
for the
grandfather
ears.
was Vulcan.
Yes, I see that. What is your relationship with the Klingon, Jadan?
There's no relationship. He just came in for his injections.
What's he hiding?
Thank you, Mr. Tarsus. I don't think there's need for more. Captain?
You're excused, crewman.
I feel like there was more
Wait,
that he wasn't saying.
he's lying. He wasn't truthful. He's covering a lie. One so big it's overwhelming him.
Oh, wow.
I think we found the man.
Now, it might not be him, but he might know who.
I'm not happy about this use of a betazoid.
Surely you're aware of the advantages.
There is a difference between a counselor and an investigator.
Are you saying you never used your counselor during interrogations?
He's uncomfortable with this. Huh.
You're asking me to restrict Mr. Tarsi's movements solely on the basis of Sabin's feeling.
I mean, it was obvious he was hiding something.
That someone on this ship were dangerous. Would you not act on that? Observe him? Curb his activity?
I think he would. I think she's right.
Now, if Tarsus is a possible saboteur, you cannot allow him access to sensitive areas of this ship. And I strongly suggest continuous surveillance.
I don't think it's him, but I think he knows who.
Engineering to Captain Picard.
Yes, Miss LaForge.
Captain, could you come to engineering right away? We've got something interesting to show you.
Yeah, let's see it. Maybe there's something wrong with the dilithium crystal.
It ruptured right along here. And when we take a reading of that spot,
I'm afraid I'm out of my element, Commander. You'll have to interpret for me.
Yes, dumb down the science, please.
The hatch casing was replaced with one which had an undetectable defect. I believe, sir, that the conclusion to our investigation must be
An accident.
the explosion was not intentional.
that's the way I see it. This wasn't sabotage at all. It was nothing more than an accident.
Really?
An accident?
Huh.
I find that hard to believe.
If my crew say there was no sabotage,
Both Data and Geordi think that.
Gentlemen, just because there was no sabotage doesn't mean there isn't a conspiracy on this ship.
No,
We do have a confessed spy.
And he had Confederates.
do we know that for sure?
He's like, step off.
Lieutenant Worf and I have been working well together. I suggest we continue, if for no other purpose than to determine Tarsus's innocence.
Now, please, let me remind you he is innocent.
Until proven guilty, yeah.
What Sabin is saying is that he and Lieutenant Worf would like to establish his innocence unequivocally.
Or are they looking for a scapegoat here? I feel like this episode is a little bit unpredictable.
As a continuing inquiry into the activities of crewman Simon Tarsis,
Simon, what are
Mr.
you hiding?
Tarsis, for your own protection, I have assigned a counsel to you in the person of Commander William Riker.
Lawyer extraordinaire.
If it was so innocent, why do you hesitate to give us the names?
Thank you, Doctor. Admiral, if you have a case to make against Simon Tarsis, you had better make it. Otherwise, I'm stopping this here and...
His patience is running thin. Stop grilling my crew.
Because I have access does not mean... What would you say if I told you there is evidence that the explosion in the engine room was caused by a corrosive chemical? How can we believe someone whom we know to be a liar?
I object.
Yeah,
There is
whoa.
no basis for calling crewman Tarsus a liar.
Badgering the witness.
Isn't it true that the paternal grandfather of whom you speak was not a Vulcan, but was in fact a Romulan? That it is Romulan blood you carry? And a Romulan...
Don't say anything. Plead the fifth.
I refuse to answer that question in that the answer might serve to incriminate me.
Yeah. But I mean, just because he has a distant grandfather that's a Romulan, does that mean he can't be in the Federation? It is bad that he lied. I don't know what the exact rules are, though. If he's mostly human, if he's estranged from his grandfather, Romulan? Oh, I don't know.
And make arrangements to do an encephalographic polygraph scan.
Mr. Worf,
An encephalographic polygraph? Cool.
do you see what is happening here, Mr. Worf?
Sir,
This is not unlike a drumhead trial.
Drum? I don't know what that means.
Jadan has admitted his guilt.
That's true, and he will stand for his crime.
Tarsus has all but done the same.
How?
He refused to answer the question about his Romulan grandfather.
That is not a crime, Worf.
Yeah, it's not.
Nor can we infer his guilt because he didn't respond.
If a man were not afraid of the truth, he would answer.
These two
The road from legitimate suspicion to rampant paranoia is very much shorter than we think. He's wrong here, Mr. Worf. I don't like what we have become.
Very rarely see the captain and one of the other crew feeling very strongly in the opposite ways.
I used to sit under this big tree near the parade grounds.
An elm tree with a circular bench?
Yes, that's the one.
I spent many an hour there. It was my favorite spot.
He likes them.
I wanted to be out there, traveling the stars. I didn't want to wait for anything. Now it's done, isn't it? My career in Starfleet is finished.
I don't think Picard will let it be done.
I lied on my application, and that mistake will be with me for the rest of my life.
No, I think Picard's gonna advocate for him. I don't think this guy is a bad guy. He just wanted to serve.
It was a tactic, a way of applying pressure.
Shady.
We're hounding an innocent man.
And how, may I ask, have you managed to determine that?
Yeah, he's kind of made up his mind.
I cannot imagine why you are trying to block this investigation. There have been others in the past who doubted me. They came to regret it.
Is that a threat?
The hearings are not going to stop.
Oh my.
They're going to be expanded.
What are you saying?
I'm going to get to the heart of this conspiracy.
Expanded?
If it means investigating every last person on this ship.
Including him?
You never told me about this.
I report to Starfleet Command directly. I do not need your permission or your approval for my decisions.
Oh my.
Warp engines are back online. We are ready to commence restart sequences.
You very rarely see him so distracted.
0900 hours tomorrow morning. You are to be questioned before the committee.
I hope he outsmarts them. Gosh, Frank.
If you don't mind, there is something I would like to say.
If you have a statement, you'll have an opportunity to make it later.
I believe that Chapter 4, Article 12 of the Uniform Code of Justice.
Yeah, tell her. He knows his stuff.
Let us not condemn Simon Tarsis or anyone else because of their bloodlines, or investigate others for their innocent associations. Do not continue with this proceeding.
She won't listen, but it's a good speech.
Would it surprise you to learn that you have violated the Prime Directive a total of 9 times since you took command of the Enterprise? I must say, Captain, it surprised the hell out of me.
He does occasionally.
Document the circumstances of those instances.
Yes, we're looking into those reports, Captain. Very closely into those reports.
She's trying to get him demoted.
You were transporting a Vulcan ambassador to Pell.
I was following orders.
In fact, she was not a Vulcan at all, was she? She was a Romulan spy. A spy whom you were delivering back into the hands of the enemy.
Do they think he is involved in this?
Deception was revealed, and she stood proudly on the bridge of a Romulan ship. Did you make any effort to retrieve her?
No.
No.
They're just trying to crucify him.
Captain Picard did the only thing he could.
Really, Lieutenant? And where were you when this traitor was on board the Enterprise? Where was ship security?
Don't you think it's questionable judgment, Captain, to have a security officer whose father was a Romulan collaborator?
That's false. That is false. This is an outrage.
Tell me, Captain, have you completely recovered from your experience?
Look at her.
Borg?
Did she just ask him?
Just how many of our ships were lost? 39? And a loss of life, I believe, measured at nearly 11,000.
I don't like what she's getting at.
One wonders how you can sleep at night.
How?
Having caused so much destruction.
How dare she? How dare she?
I question your choices. I question your loyalty.
You know, there are some words I've known since I was a schoolboy.
I question your loyalty? F off.
First speech censured, the first thought forbidden, the first freedom denied, chains us all irrevocably. Those words were uttered by Judge Aaron Satie.
Her dad?
First time any man's freedom is trodden on, we're all damaged. I fear that day.
How dare you!
How dare you!
And to hear those words used to subvert the United Federation of Planets. My father was a great man.
Picard is a great man.
You undermine our very way of life.
How dare she?
I will expose you for what you are.
All right, that's enough.
I brought down bigger men than you, Picard.
Escort her out of here.
I have nothing more to say.
Good. Please leave. Can't believe she questioned his loyalty. Brought up the Borg.
Perhaps we should call a recess. Until tomorrow.
We can regain our composure. Picard kept his composure the entire time. I'm glad that this trial was open to the public and everyone was able to witness this here. This seems like a storyline that's bigger than one episode. He's probably in his head about the Borg
Have I
thing
bothered
again.
you, Captain?
No, please, Mr. Wolf, come in.
Carries so much guilt about it already.
I believed her. I helped her. I did not see what she was.
Villains who twirl their mustaches are easy to spot. Vigilance, Mr. Wolf.
Vigilance.
That is the price we have to continually pay.
The end. That was a thoughtful episode. Okay, that was season 4, episode 21, and I really liked that one. That one was very thoughtful, really ramped up throughout the episode, and wound up at a place that I didn't really anticipate we would get to at the beginning of the episode. I really liked it. It very much showcased Picard, his personal convictions. They gave him a couple of really nice speeches in there. I do wonder if this was is this sort of a play on, you know, the whole thing with communism and blacklisting people and things like that. It sort of felt like that a little bit. The starting, I wasn't sure where we were going with this, but it turned into like a witch hunt episode, and Picard firmly on the side of you can't just accuse people and ruin their lives without evidence just because you're suspicious. I thought this might turn into sort of a Worf episode. That seemed to be where they were going at the beginning of it, but I'm glad with the pivot that they took, and it turned into just an episode about this idea that, well, I mean, Picard said at the very end, you know, we're not so far from burning witches and things like that. We've come far from there, but it's still possible. It doesn't take much when you have like a climate of fear to start, well, ruining people's lives without enough evidence. And I do like how at the beginning I was questioning too, like, is Picard, you know, going a little overboard? You know, he trusts Troy when she gives an opinion. Maybe we should trust this Betazoid guy, you know, but I like how they start there. It's reasonable to sort of be like, well, is Picard really in the right here? But over time you see that yes, he is absolutely in the right. It is this lady that, well, ultimately having a freak out and proving Picard's point that, you know, it's just gone too far. But I like how there was that slow build. It wasn't immediately obvious. I mean, I can't believe that we got to the point where Picard is on the stand and she's accusing him of being disloyal. She's bringing up the Borg. I mean, I got heated about it. Like, you can't do that. I wonder if that will come up in the future. I mean, I guess I'm a little bit surprised that it was like, I mean, his mind was taken over by the Borg. He was still there. He has all the memories, but they must have had some access to his mind as with all the Federation knowledge that he has. I mean, we don't know really at this point what they learned from him, if anything. I don't know. It seemed like he was pretty much immediately back in charge of his ship. I'm a little surprised by that. Maybe they would have been a little more suspicious. I'm personally glad that they're not. Although, seeing it in this sort of trial setting, I wonder if some of the higher-ups on the down low, amongst themselves, have questions about Picard, and if we're gonna see that going forward. I always have Picard's back. I believe in him 100%, but you never know. I don't know if the Borg took any knowledge from Picard and are now going to use it against them later in the future. I don't know, and that is dangerous. It's not his fault, and I'm sure he wouldn't have given it up willingly, but very interesting. Yeah, I like this one a lot. I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts. Let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I had a great time. I hope you had a great time too, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.